We made this.
Welcome to the Starlight Ballroom. Hey!
Hello everyone and welcome to Shipwrecked and Comatose. My name is not Mark Adams and welcome to the show. We are here for another Red Dwarf special. Joining me today is Mr. Matt Latham. Hello, Matt.
Hello. Hello. Making sure I'm in the right podcast at the rate I'm going at the moment, so.
Right podcast. I'm definitely not in the right room. I'm currently podcasting in a room that's designed for like 200 people, and I'm the only one here. So
nice and echoey then.
Nice and echoey. You know, it's going to have great post EQ stuff, but you know, these things are sent to trials. And as you can hear, Colin Jackson Brown is with us. Hello, friend. How are you?
Not bad. Yeah, I'm all right.
What I do want to say is you've brought a friend with you. You've brought a giraffe.
I have. Yeah, that's Gerald. He's just in my living room.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. Yeah, we are here to discuss Smeg Ups, the 1994 release, VHS release, then moved on to DVD in more recent history. I'm not sure when that was, actually, but Colin, you probably have the facts of that. But
nope.
No. Oh, well.
Case is over there and I can't reach it. I'm all wired up.
Okay, that's fine. Don't worry. We're not bothered. Yeah, we're here to talk about the Smeg Ups. Now, I don't know about you, so let's go around the history of Smeg Ups because, you know, we're talking, you know, back in the 70s, we had Dennis Norden's It'll Be All Right on the Night, which was a collection of, you know, sort of mishaps and things like that.
Yeah.
Which I remember being Saturday night TV. It was like 5-6 o'clock at night or something. I remember that vividly. And then I'm researching this. I didn't realize this existed, and I don't know why, but the bottom one, which was released later on, the 18...
Fluff.
Yeah, called Fluff.
Yeah.
I did not know they existed until like 3 seconds ago.
I was trying to find out if there were many more, and I've not found many. So, like you said, it'll be all right on the night, and then there was Auntie's Bloomers, which was the BBC one.
Yes.
Which I think Terry Wogan presented, if I remember correctly. But then this came out in just before Christmas in 1994. Bottom Fluff was, I think, the year after.
1996 it was.
Yeah. And then there was also Mystery Science Theatre 3000 had a couple called the Poopy Tapes. But other than that, it's all just sort of extras on DVDs and that kind of thing. I can't find any other, you know, standalone VHS release ones.
I think DVD killed the market, I think. It killed the blooper reel.
Yeah, because they were all just put on there as extras rather than their own thing.
Mm.
But this actually, Smeg Ups was circulated as there was a sort of tape trading early version. There was a bootleg VHS that got passed around the fans at conventions and stuff for about a year or so before.
Yeah, I think it didn't Doug Naylor, one of them, go to a convention and did a show reel on some of them, and this is where it was kind of born from. I believe that's where it came from. So
it was at one of the early Dimension jumps, I think. Yeah,
that's what I've heard or read somewhere. I vividly remember having this VHS. So I think I must have got it for Christmas '94 when I was 14. Did you get that at the same time, Colin?
Yep. So I was 12 then, and I got it for Christmas.
And Matt, did you get the VHS around that time, my friend? Did you get that?
No. So in the lead up to this, I don't think I actually ever watched the Smeg Ups video at all. And I couldn't really, so I never really kind of have the memories attached with them. Because I know, particularly quite a few times, I think Colin especially, often, it's either Colin or perhaps Carl as well has mentioned quite a few times that when they're watching things, they'll sometimes remember the Smeg Ups version more than the actual line
I've mentioned that a few times as well.
Has as well, definitely.
But I think it's come up quite a few times, and particularly in episodes I've not been on. But I think this first time I've actually watched these as they are, as we're talking about today, was probably last week and tonight.
Yeah. So were you actually aware of the special, as in like the VHS or the DVDs being out?
The term Smeg Ups. I remember the term Smeg Ups, and I think my mate at school, I think may have had the VHS. I think, or at least commented them or something. Yes, and I'm pretty sure there perhaps was something on the Red Dwarf night.
Yeah.
I don't know whether they released something.
Yeah, there was a broadcast version.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing that bit.
Okay, so the broadcast version we might cover because it's a special, and Mark likes a special. And my name is Kurt North, not Mark Adams. Thank you. But the broadcast version is like 26 minutes long compared to this, which is around 51 minutes. So it was cut significantly and includes season 7 as some of the Smeg Ups from that. So it's changed considerably, and the Kryten stuff as well isn't the same. They've changed all that.
This is just 4, 5, and 6, isn't it? The original Smeg Ups, and then they did the first 3 series on Smeg Outs later on.
It's a typical Grant Naylor production way of doing stuff, isn't it?
It fucking is, isn't it?
Yeah, but I can't remember much about them. But I thinking about it, I think my experience with like the blooper reel or the Smeg Ups is watching the extras once on the DVD box set, which
is behind you somewhere.
Yes, somewhere behind me, on one of my shelves somewhere. But I think my camera is.
I'm just fascinated by the Roswell and the X-Files being together.
Underneath that is the bad guy from Bucky O'Hare.
Oh yeah,
I can't remember his name.
Toady dude.
Yeah.
No,
I can't.
Behind me is a white wall.
This
carry on.
It's great for the audio podcast.
It is.
Yeah.
It's, we got some audio description. That's all you need.
Yeah, we're very inclusive.
Yes, we're setting the scene.
We are.
Yes, for our visually impaired listeners. Yeah,
which is
we
all
are providing
on a podcast.
But yeah, the DVDs, I think they pretty much had. They must have been like kind of edited just of their series. And again, I'm not a completionist, so I don't know how much, if they're like every single one that was on there, or whether it's extras or stuff. But I think I must have watched them once and then like not watched the extras again. Which I can hear Mark typing down on the spreadsheet. Oh, we must do a special on the extras.
Well, yeah. I mean that's the thing. 'Cause that's the thing with this for me and Colin. I would assume that exactly what you said, Matt. With we make comments and we'll talk about some of the actual Smeg Ups shortly. But there's so much of it. I related to this. I was actually thinking about this afternoon. I've taped some concerts from the BBC back in the early 90s, and they would get a DVD release in like 1997, and my VHS doesn't bear any resemblance to the cameras they used, to the production that they used, and it's kind of jarring because you're so used to watching your BBC VHS. Oh, they're going to put this on DVD, and it's completely directed in a different way, and that's what I feel a little bit with like sort of the extras on the Smeg Ups, because it's like they're 2 or 3 minutes long, where Smeg Ups itself was this 50-minute thing that was probably played on repeat quite significantly. I don't know if that was the same for you, Colin.
I think I probably watched this probably more often than I'd put on the actual proper episodes videos. Me and some of my school friends, particularly my mate Dan Harrison, we used to watch this and we used to quote it. Like, we used to quote the Smeg Ups as much as, if not more sometimes, than the episodes themselves. Yeah. So there's loads of quotable Dwarf that never actually made it into the episodes.
Yeah, and one especially, which I did mention on the podcast, which we'll get to. But yeah, same with me. I used to do like extraordinary all the time.
I only just realised, because I know nothing of 70s and 80s sport, that is an impression of David Coleman. Chris Barry did the spitting image puppet of David Coleman, So that is Chris Barry doing an impression of Chris Barry doing an impression of David Coleman.
Yeah. Oh, I actually thought it was Murray Walker, but my memory might be that's my memory rather than looking up something.
Chrisception.
Chrisception.
But yeah, that extraordinary, I still do now. Whenever I'm reading my 5-year-old daughter a story and the word extraordinary is in there, I always read it as extraordinary, which really annoys her, which is just a bonus.
So while we're talking about that then, free flow conversation and all, Matt, your first time round on it, how do you think the layout was for you? Just the way that it's been put together, and what your general thoughts on it? Because obviously we go back to memory, but what did you think of it on your first watch?
What I found quite interesting, I think, is that it's both a kind of gift for kind of the fan base, in a kind of unique way at the time. So it was released. So it was 94, was
94,
it?
Yeah.
94. So when was that? So it was Series 6. Was that Series 6?
Yeah, it was just after Series 6.
That's Series 6. So it was just after. It was just the. And it's quite a funny thinking about it now. The No Man's Land or the Uncharted Territories, where out of time it aired, and you had no idea if it was coming back. It'd be like 3 years before 7 come back. Would come out. So like, so it's got like a kind of weird. It's got like a multitasking where it's trying to keep people interested.
Yeah.
Interested with a fan base, which I think Grant Naylor must have realised would eat it up, and just like digest it as much as possible, as evidenced by the two of you by the sounds of it. But it's probably also trying to get a bit more money out of the franchise as well. And so cynical marketing head.
It never felt exploitative, though.
No.
No, I get that, but again, it probably what it kind of was. I mean, like it's like the kind of, did I say the tongue-tied thing that you covered? Which
God,
I actually did.
It's so much better than that.
Yeah, but I actually remember borrowing the video. I did actually watch that. I did borrow the video of that from a friend. So that's one of the extras I did watch. But then also it's also got a very unique. This and the Smeg Ups have got a very unique kind of representation of the character of Kryten, which I found quite interesting. In that he's in character, but also not, and
it's
and
weird.
That was,
yeah,
it's weird. It's weird, but great. And then in my research, and because I thought we was talking about both. I watched Smeg Ups like about an hour before we recorded, which had a lot more on that, and revealed that Robert Llewellyn would go to conventions in character. And so I was wondering whether at this point, considering that he actually started the show in the 3rd series, whether he's actually spent the most time in costume compared to everyone else, because he never seems to be out of it.
That's it. He can't get out of it in a break.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was written by Doug and Robert Llewellyn as well, the actual Smeg Ups themselves. So the actual some of the writings actually by Robert.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to find out who was the original idea then, because if Robert Llewellyn wrote the thing, I'm assuming it wasn't his idea, or unless it was a case that if I have to get in that suit again, we're doing it on my terms. I'm wondering whether.
Well, the original bootleg version had, for the bits where Kryten was doing the links, there was basically just a blank screen with "link goes here" written on it for about 10 seconds every now and again. So I think in the early days they possibly hadn't decided what they were going to do. I think they did I mean, Kryten is the exposition character, so it makes a lot of sense him being there, sort of explaining what's going on and that kind of thing for the audience. It'd have to be either him or Holly, and Holly wasn't in it anymore at that point.
And the interesting aspect of that kind of marketing bit as well, and Sidney said it was 94, there's a bit where they talk about the website. And
so that's so the website has been overwritten. This is kind of what I'm saying about certain things on the VHS. So it used to have a PO box address that you could send to, so they've redone that. Because one thing I did notice on the broadcast edition as well, which I just clicked on to start watching it again before coming on, just to skim through to write some notes. And you know the bit where you'll see that Rimmer falls over during Back to Reality when they're pretending to be in the car and he falls over. And it's like, it's Noel Edmonds, it's Noel Edmonds, it's Noel Edmonds, it's got to be. In the broadcast edition, they've changed that to, it's Smeg Ups, it's in the Smeg Ups, it's in the Smeg Ups kind of thing. So they've actually used the same kind of intonation, but they've changed what was actually said at the time. Yeah.
There are a couple of bits like that because the bootleg version, there are quite a lot of the little Smeg Up bits that are longer.
Right.
And they've edited them and tightened up the timing on some of them. And I don't know if there's anywhere they've actually overdubbed what's been said, but there's definitely there's one there's one of the ones from Meltdown where Rimmer's going along with all the different wax droids and there's an aeroplane overhead.
Yeah.
But what he actually swears at, it's made out in the Smeg Ups that it's the plane overhead. But actually, he fucks his line up just before that. He swears at that, and then he says, "Oh, and there's a plane overhead." But the way they've put the beeping in there, because he swears, they've covered over that bit to make it look like it was just the plane flying overhead that they've left in there. It's worth looking at the original bootleg version because it's quite interesting to see the slightly longer versions of some of the things. There's a load of stuff in there that didn't make it. Like there's a bit from Demons and Angels. You know the scene with the strawberries.
Yeah.
So you've got the bit where Lister is just about to eat one of the strawberries with maggots all over it, and they cut away in the actual episode. But originally, he was supposed to eat a strawberry with maggots all over it, and he just. At the time of filming, he was just like, "No, I can't do that. I'm not eating that," and put it down. Then they had to change it, so that bit's in there.
Well, I think one of the things I was going to say actually about the VHS. I mean, you're right, Matt. There is slight changes like that just purely from the DVD release because you can't really use the PO box anymore. So let's get them to the website, and obviously that's been extended as well to say you can buy this, and you can do this, and you can do that. Which is fine. That's just an update. I think there must be some changes, but even though I watched it time and time again, I've got a feeling that there's been a couple of times I've gone, did that really happen at that point? Can't quite remember, but I don't think there's that much that's been altered overall.
It's very. I mean, I hadn't watched it for probably 20-something years.
Yeah, and
it still was. So much of it just burnt into my memory. And it didn't seem jarring that there'd been much change apart from the website address. That was the only bit that I was like, hold on, that definitely wasn't right because website addresses didn't look like that in 1994.
Yeah,
and nobody got the internet anyway.
Yeah, and they have and they show pages with the actual DVD box sets.
Yeah,
that also is a clue. Yes.
Yeah.
Here's a format that doesn't exist yet because it's from the future.
What do you think, Matt, then, to the way that they've put it together? So there's elements of you've got your interspersed Kryten bits, but then you'll have models that are spread through the entire run, the entire episode. But you will get like slight alterations in the way that they are presenting it to us. We're talking about the editing. I think you have to do that to make it a tight, concise product. It's a product, isn't it? Yeah. It's not just It's very structured. I mean, I never clicked until you mentioned it earlier about the It's All Right on the Night in that. Because I think the genius of that as well is that the links that Dennis Norton did was they kind of grouped or categorised the bloopers in a way. So it was like, so it's not just random bits. It's not sequential. It goes, here's everything from episode 4, 1 of series 4. Do. Now this. They kind of combine it together, so you get like a montage of Danny John Jules just forgetting his lines.
I love that one.
Yeah. Where it's just basically, so you get like about 4 minutes of Danny John Jules just staring out, and then suddenly having a wry smile and going, "My line, innit?"
Yeah. And so I think one of the best ones, because obviously they've done it in a way on that particular those moments as well. That they've done it in a way, like you say, not sequential, because in one of them it's like we've only got you to go with, so stay alert. And he's just standing there, just like staring into space. It's like, okay, that's brilliant because that's in context funny, but then the following ones are just ones like that where he would like he's about to say something or he realizes he's not there, which I think, as I say, just by doing that, by placing that one first, works really well.
Yeah.
But what did you make to like the edits where, because sometimes you've got to tell the gag before you actually see the outtake. So I'm thinking of the one with Mr. Guitar where they have to rewind, where they rewind the tape. Matt, what did you think to that one?
I think that was interesting. I think because I think one, it helps remind you which scene they're supposed to be in, like sets, or at least it's setting up. So it's setting up the kind of slow build to the actual reveal. So it's got like, for example, with the Mr. Guitar, it's like the other example I want to give is like, I think the bit from Out of Time where they talk about the issue with doors, and then there's a very long the bit where it's like where Chris Barry, who even in an outtake looks, I've always think he's about to crack up when he tries to be serious acting. It's like, no, we have to do a way out of this, and for some reason it just looks like Chris Barry's about to piss himself of laughter, and he does the same there, and then But then you're there, and he kind of lures you in thinking, okay, what's happening? He's going to get his lines, blah, blah, blah. He's going to this, and this. And then he just basically runs into the door and he can't get the bazookoid in.
It's one of the funniest moments. That again, going back to like memorable things in every time, because we haven't got to Out of Time yet in the podcast. But every time I see Out of Time, I immediately go to that scene because it's just absolutely hilarious.
But the composition of that, it could be just the fact they could have made the decision to start that scene at the moment where you'd automatically, anyone who's seen the episode would know exactly which bit it is. So they could have cut away with him grabbing the bazooka and run off, but they purposely have the dramatic bit at the start to
build the tension.
Build suspense. Build suspense. And the same thing happens with the Miss Guitar, but with the Miss Guitar thing, you think, okay, that's the actual shot. So what the hell's going to happen? But it's the thing that originally, it lures you in as well. So I can't remember what the original bit is, but I don't know. I thought the gag was Danny John Jules messing up, smashing the guitar.
It's basically, the line is basically, it's, oh, look, Mr. Liss's guitar stayed intact. And he smashes it, says, oh, well, Mr. Liss's guitar didn't. Not even Mr. Liss's guitar stayed intact, kind of thing. Because Cat's just wanting to get rid of it. That's the original joke.
Yeah, but I think originally I thought it was how Danny John Jules smashed the guitar, because I under the impression that he's supposed to lift it up and do a proper rock star smash of it, but he somehow flubs it up and he just somehow manages to smash it whilst lifting up. And I thought that was the
It's quite hard to smash a guitar unless it is rigged to do it. I have done it a couple of times.
I'll be surprised if you didn't.
My guitar's worth $1,000. I am not doing that to my guitar.
Oh God, it wasn't any of my decent guitars. I did it with a really cheap, shitty Encore guitar at a gig years ago, and then we used to have a tradition at Reading Festival each year where we'd buy a cheap nylon strung acoustic, and then we'd play it all weekend, and then on the last night we'd smash it up and then burn it in the fire.
Nice.
Which if you do that,
did it smell like camphor wood?
It did, yeah. No, if you ever do that, snip the fucking strings first, because nylon strings, when they snap and fire molten nylon across and land on one of your friend's legs, she's still got a scar because it's basically like napalm.
Oh God. Okay.
So
the more you know.
Anyway, smashing a guitar isn't that easy. It does take quite a few attempts. So you've got to kind of try and rig it if you're going to do sort of a spectacular guitar smash. And I think they'd rigged it so it fell apart too easily.
Yeah.
In that bit.
The neck just falls apart, doesn't it? The way the neck kind of just like smashes into it. But
I say we kind of appreciate that, like, you got your quick fire flubs of lines, but then the building up to kind of set pieces of bigger things where, like, you would considering some of the later ones we haven't talked about yet. Him going Mr. Guitar doesn't feel like it should be like a big set piece with like the build up to it.
Yeah.
But I think they was cleverly showed the original and then built up to it to the point where he goes Mr. Guitar, and then the resultant kind of just like everyone just breaking up because of something so stupid.
And
Kind
then
of carries on because
it's
it
the
just carries on.
improvisation, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
improvisation
It's the
afterwards.
improvisation that
See, everything
Robert
to me is Mr. Mr. Mike, Mr. Rather Sad Knob. In a typical northern like way of saying as well, which will bring us to the next kind of point of some of those the ad libs that they do, like say as extraordinary, but the various different things where you've got Kryten. We've just before we came on air, somebody sent a picture of I've just got me pants and stuff like that. I mean, they're not Smeg Ups, are they? They're just like literally just them messing around. So, Colin, what the stuff that like that, the stuff that's ad libbed or either like getting the crowd up or just them reacting. I mean, what is that definitely more of a memory for you as well?
It varies because I think most of my favourite bits are, other than the I've just cacked my pants. All of my favourite bits are sort of flubs, but it's how they react to them afterwards. But there are a lot of cool bits in there where I think they are sort of like filling time for the studio audience. Like you've got Chris Barry doing his like not Sid James. Is it Sid James?
Kenneth Williams
impression.
Yeah.
And it was
Or
one of the Carry
Lester
On people.
Piggott. Not 89.
Yeah.
That's the paid tax.
It's doing very, very dated impressions now. the kind of impressions that most of the people watching these days would be like, quite sure who that is.
But it's and again, it goes back to the kind of interesting contemporary pop culture references the show has.
Yeah.
So like
Kevin
God,
Keegan.
no, I mean, yeah. Or the one that always jumps in my mind is the Peter Beardsley reference. Even and any kind of younger millennial fan that picks up Red Dwarf, who's also massively into their football, will have no idea who Peter Beardsley is. To me, Peter Beardsley is the bloody Premier League '94 sticker that I could never find.
That's it. I only know of him from sticker albums, but
Yeah, but there's other things as well, which I say with ad libbing or especially with the ad libs. There's some telling moments where you can hear the production staff saying, "Come on, can we get on with this, please?" Kind of like that attitude. You can hear them underneath that they've just been annoying them that much all day, which I think is a good insight as well.
it shows the camaraderie between the boys from the Dwarf. It looks like they got on really well when they weren't in character. So this is just there's some. I mean, the one that sort of springs to mind to me. There's one where Lister and Kryten are in a scene, and Robert Llewellyn messes his line up. Craig is like, "Get it right, there'll be a bag of chips in it for you."
The one with the hat with the girl from Spats, which I can never not just say that. That's all I ever say when I say when it's like, "What do we do now, Dad?"
Yeah.
But I think one of my favorite moments from Smeg Ups is definitely the Stone one. It's just it cracks me up every single time I hear that. Oh look, Stone, and he just knocks on it, and the crowd just go mental. And it's like they're going to sort that out in the dub. Matt, out of the moments that you've seen, then what would you say would be your favorite highlights if you had to pick 2 or 3 of them that stick out to you?
It's another Craig Charles and Robert Llewellyn one where he goes, "This is what happens when you can't." A technique called reading the law, having your actor holding the piece of paper, and it's just because he can't say the past participle line.
Yeah,
and you basically see him holding the paper in the pan. Goes, "Yeah, you got it too early," and then the next attempt is like the production staff handing it across the front of the camera.
Yeah. There's about 6 attempts, isn't there?
Yeah.
And that was the one I did discuss on the podcast because they don't even use that line at the end. In the end, they actually just let's cut out completely. They don't even use it, and that one is totally like an effect where I thought that was in the episode. And you just think, but that's in there, and you see them put the hand on it, and you don't see anything beyond that. So that's one moment. Any other that jumped out at you?
It's the running into the door from out of time. It's like it kind of takes you just don't know what you're expecting to see when it says like, oh, we have issues with doors and stuff. But I think it's it's in the section with the doors, and they kind of put it on near the. So you've watched a few, you've forgotten it's supposed to be about the door, and the length of that time you kind of get them back in the scene, and I think your attention gets drawn into, okay, what the hell? Because I don't remember a door being in this bit.
Yeah.
And then suddenly he grabs the bazooka and and I think it's very well, cleverly edited for comic timing, and that's one of the highlights, I think, for myself as well. Yeah. You just don't see him. Because I think mainly as well, because I remember that it's one of the first, I'm pretty sure seasons, I can't remember if Series 6 was like one of the first ones I seen. I think Out of Time was one of the episodes I remember the most.
Yeah.
It's because that's built into my head. That scene is built into my head that much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was trying to spot what potentially could go wrong. And because I've in walking run through the door, you just don't see it coming.
Yeah. So, Colin, it's probably harder for us because there's so many that, because they are seared into our brain to actually pull them out.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming that there is like ones that you just...
There's a couple we've not mentioned yet that I absolutely love.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the absolute classic, I don't know why I fucking ate that cigarette, which is just utterly brilliant. There's a really little subtle one is when it's one's from, I think it might be Gunman of the Apocalypse, where they're in the AR suite thingy.
Yeah.
And
it's the cod piece.
It's
the
the end of the
bit.
set, and yeah, Craig Charles is just about to leave the set, and he's not taken the groinal attachment off, and nearly rips his knob off. And then I think my absolute favourite overall is, I think, the only one that doesn't have any of the cast in it, other than the one with the chicken or the bullets, where it's Rimmer's mum and Rimmer as a small child.
Yeah.
Where she flubs a line and says, "Oh, fuck," and the little kid dangling upside down giggles his head off, because there is not much funnier than either a small child swearing when they don't know that they're swearing, when they've just copied their parents. Not that I've ever done that, of course. Or giggling because an adult swears. It's just utterly hilarious. It makes me laugh for hours, like watching random little YouTube videos of kids swearing when they shouldn't be. It's brilliant.
I mean, as I said, there's so many. I think for me, the one that definitely jumps out is the Storm one, which I always remember that. The Extraordinary, and it's not quite the same, but I always find that fascinating. And there's bound to be so many more that would jump in. I've actually made a list of all the Smeg Ups. So it's just little things. I mean, as I say, I won't going to go through them all, but I'll quickly go through them. Where, like, typical Star Trek, when Craig Charles just goes, "We weren't ready," even though they'd sat down and done the line. It's like, well, you're ready for that, which is fantastic. And I think some of the best moments are moments that you would never really recall. It's when they do get the line wrong and they look to camera. It's like kind of like they break that fourth wall. And it's like they know that they know what to do as from an artist's perception of, like, okay, I need to, like, just switch on there. Okay, yeah, fucked up.
There's the I think it's a bit from the Inquisitor episode as well, where I think they're just waiting. I don't know whether they're waiting to say action, and they just start turning around to the camera, and they start swearing at it. Yeah, and then Craig Charles starts doing the wanker signal to Chris Barry behind his back. And
what I like about that, from a memory, is that he starts doing all that, but then Chris Barry's not seeing it, but eventually he sees it, and then he's like straight in his face, and he's going, and he's pulling these like faces at him as well, which is great. Again,
you've also got the Inquisitor joining in.
Yeah,
in the background.
Yeah.
Which I did like.
Oh, I did not notice that.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, and some of the body humor that happens, like sort of like the. I'm saying this was the first course. Saving this for after.
The bogies and stuff. Yeah,
just the way Robert Llewellyn goes. What we don't want to know is where the sweet's kept.
There's a bit. I think there's a bit which is kind of actually in character for Lister and Kryten, which I think was improvisation, where he flicks the bogey and then suddenly Llewellyn catches it, which is something I'm surprised never made it to the actual episode, because that sounds. That is a
tidying up,
Lister,
isn't it? Yeah.
That's a Lister and Kryten interaction.
I think I did see a TARDIS, by the way, in the model shots.
Oh, I didn't notice it this time.
Yeah. On one of the model shots, it's in the bottom left-hand corner, I think. I'm not 100% sure, but I think there's a TARDIS at the bottom left-hand corner. What did you make to the model shots, Matt? Was it something just to fill time, do you think? Because I definitely feel that way.
I think so, yeah. It's kind of filler, but I think it also kind of shows you how much it's a skill to kind of get the shots. And I think particularly in the modern day of the last 20 years nearly, that everything's more or less just CG now and hardly model work. Just how difficult it must have been to try and get those model shots, and how many bloody models of Starbucks. So I'm kind of wondering. If they've just decided to keep crashing Starbug, and they just made the characters really crap drivers just because they kept flipping up.
I think it's definitely true for that.
Of that in there, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think because there's always kind of like a weird, awkward ADR where like they always make a comment, and it's always vocally when the shots are of the models. So if they ever hit the side, they always go, "Oh, what's the driving?" or something like that. And I'm just starting to think that it's probably because none of the obviously talented and probably very hard-working model team at Red Dwarf couldn't drive the fucking thing.
The legendary Peter Rack.
Yeah, he gets mentioned, doesn't he, Peter, at some point, I think. I can't remember exactly. Can't remember exactly the reason why, but there's a moment where this is Pete's going to be mad or something like. I can't remember exactly what it was now. And I'm just going through. I'm just having a look through what one's highlights for me. But the change in the bulb scene obviously is an amazing scene anyway. But it's the fact that they forget the line, and it gets back to Kryten, and Kryten goes, "Well, I've missed mine as well." And he just looks at camera. Yeah. The stay alert stuff we've talked about. You've got Lister. It says we've got to, and that's something that happens a lot in any kind of fluff, don't they? It's like kind of what they're saying. We've got to do something. I don't know. Yeah. So stuff like that. Bullets. The bullets is certainly a memorable scene in the fact that, you know, the way that Kryten delivers it, saying, "Remember, some of these went to university," kind of thing. And it's like, maybe just a little bit up there, maybe just drop it down there, maybe just drop it down.
See, that elevates it, that comment, because if he didn't say something funny, that scene would go on for way too long and just be really annoying.
It would.
Just watching some bullets not land where they're supposed to.
But then again, I kind of liked it because it gives you an appreciation just of how bloody difficult it must be to try and get those certain shots that you want. Yeah, and I think perhaps as well is that with, as you mentioned before about the boys from the Dwarf, it kind of, you don't see much of the production staff in the blooper reels, but you get the impression that they're there, and it's kind of nice to kind of be reminded perhaps that quote unquote boys from the Dwarf aren't just the four, but it's the team around them that build it, and it's not and it's not just Rob Grant and Doug Naylor. It's the to kind of jump the gun to the Smeg Ups for it's the poor lad that's just sat when David Ross starts cleaning him in one of the Smeg Ups, and the next one, it's those kind of people that you just kind of, it kind of reminds you that there's a whole bigger team of people kind of having fun.
Yeah. Or not, as the case may be, depending on where they are.
What you're basically saying there, Matt, is the real boys from the Dwarf are the friends we made along the way.
Yes.
Oh. When he's doing the welding, and and it's just the way that you're talking about like cast and stuff. You can hear the woman just going, "Oh, it's all right. It doesn't matter. We can't tell." It's like, it doesn't matter. We can't tell. It's just, I might burn my knob off. Doesn't matter. We can't tell. It's just, you're talking about burning flesh or whatever he says. It's just like, stuff like that. Just that, again, the reaction, of Craig Charles. Because Craig Charles goes very scouse on his reactions. You know what I mean? So it's like he just raises his intonation slightly, and what do you mean? Which is fantastic.
Sort it out in the dub.
Yeah, it's just brilliant. So I don't think there's anything else generally we can talk about, is there? Apart from the top 10 questions.
Oh, okay. There's also the bonus scene at the end.
Yeah, the out of time.
Yeah.
I was thinking about leaving that till the actual episode.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe just
Yeah,
playing
probably
that
that.
in the actual episode. So,
Okay.
so 10 most asked questions are, in Stasis Leak, calendar showed 2nd of March 2077, and 3 weeks before, that's when it happened. But in Me Too, 6 weeks before Gazpacho Soup Day, which is 25th of November. So it's either the 25th of November or the 2nd of March. And I like what they did because they've basically took, this is like most asked on Google, isn't it, really? Pre-Google. So it's like what people are asking, and at least they're straight away at camera saying, oh, we know, kind of thing. At least they're owning up to that.
Yeah, don't be sad and start a podcast analysing all this kind of stuff. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Well, we've
Yeah,
always
it's comic book.
said
We always said.
we allow the continuity fuck ups because we'd have to.
Yeah. I mean, I
thought it was because Mark would get really cranky if he just kept bringing them all up. I thought that was the reason that we.
Yeah, I think. Well, it probably is, but
Yeah.
no, I mean, because I wouldn't go into this much depth anyway. I wouldn't be working out the Gazpacho Soup Day. 6 weeks before that is the 25th of November. I wouldn't.
It's comic book guy, isn't it? The Simpsons.
Yeah. Number 9 is third show. Thanks for the memory. He had his appendix out, and in Legion, 2nd episode of season 6, he has appendicitis.
I think we need to mention the answer for that, because Kryten's answer for why he had his appendix out, because he liked the operation so much that he had it again. He's utterly brilliant.
But I think that is one of the continuity things that the show does actually. They must have forgotten.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one it's very hard to forgive that one. But at least they kind of self-aware, saying, "Yeah, that's one we messed up on."
Yeah.
The timing of stuff and the number of crew members, you can hand wave that. But the appendix is, hands up.
Sirens, why did his hair and nails grow in the stasis booth? Well, we've answered that ourselves. The lyrics was number 7, which is fine. Season 6, episode
I was
6.
going to say that I'm surprised that we've not used the fact that in character Kryten says the words "shipwrecked and comatose." Yeah, I'm surprised we've not used that soundbite yet.
Where we are now.
We can do now.
Yeah, just so that's Colin suddenly making a new remix
I'm
with
not redoing the fucking theme tune. It's
well, just sampling the thing.
Welcome to Salad Bowl. Hey, Shipwrecked and Comatose.
Yeah.
No, it'd be awful. Where do I write to get Red Dwarf merchandise? And this is what we were talking about with the website. In Marooned, dog food? No, it was cat food. Can I call my stuffed Red Dwarf? That was like houses, mouse, mice, whatever. Mice? Who has pet mice? I had a pet rat.
Some people.
I had a pet rat.
Some people have pet mice.
Okay.
I think. I don't like pets. They're rubbish.
How long does it take to make an episode? 7 days. The Marooned Camphorwood stuff. The most asked Injustice, 1167, and the first show 169, like Matt just said. Stasis Leak 2077, and in DNA he's a 23rd century guy.
Yeah.
And then realizing the questions were 10, not 11, which was a nice little gag there. So. Yeah, so I mean, you could literally go through every single Smeg Up, and say the heart attacks. No, not the bloody heart attacks, all that kind of thing if you wanted to. But I don't think it warrants that. Watch the Smeg Ups is what I'd suggest.
You can get the DVD for about £3 off eBay. That's what I did.
Yeah. It's a weird cover though, isn't it? The
It
DVD.
is.
It's a bit shite.
Yeah. Although the original VHS cover wasn't brilliant.
Well, no.
It was very sort of, I was going to say Microsoft Word art, but I think it predates
that. Right, Matt. Any final thoughts on the Smeg Ups?
No, just that I need to remember to actually watch the right thing before.
It might help. Yeah.
Yes. And...
Okay, and Colin.
I really enjoyed going back and watching it again. It was a lovely bit of nostalgia.
It was,
and I'm looking forward to doing Smeg Outs later on because I've not watched those again yet. I'm going to do that when we do the episode.
Yeah, I would do that myself as well. Knowing that we're doing the Smeg Ups today, then I would definitely do Smeg Outs another time. You know,
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to waste my time. I wouldn't want to waste my time watching them because I might get myself confused. I don't know.
Who would do such a thing?
I mean,
Wankers.
you know, who's not looked at the spreadsheet and who always talks about spreadsheets? Let me think. Anyway, nice to be able to speak to you both. And, you know, coming into season 6 next year in 2022. But no doubt there'll be other things that we'll be talking about. And we aren't...
Have you met Mark?
Yeah. Yes, I have, unfortunately.
Yes.
There is more things to talk about on the We Made This Podcast Network. Matt, you are on the We Made This Podcast Network with Pick a Disc and the like, and I am on We Made This Disc with We Made This Disc. We Made This Podcast with Star Trek Picard and all kinds. So let's talk about where people can find you online. So Matt, starting with you.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram /Twitter /Facebook under Pick a Disc, where you can hear my self-deprecation, which is part of the brand right now, and where I speak to people about albums for whatever reason they want to. I'm not sure when this comes. I'm not sure when this is due out.
Thursday.
Oh, this Thursday.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yes, I've got to edit it on
Okay.
Wednesday. So.
Right. So So the most recent episode is pretty much is the most weirdest album that we've covered so far. Just imagine a woman dressed as a samurai singing in a baby voice to Commodore 64 samples.
Is it Lieutenant Uhura in Star Trek 5?
No, it's not. It's a Chicago improviser called Monotrona who did a 20-minute.
Okay.
Yeah, at the time recording, Colin's just had a spoiler for the next episode, but when this is out, the latest episode was just released for the last couple of days. Have a listen, and then if you don't like it, listen to all the other episodes just to make sure that you don't like
Still don't like
the
it.
podcast. Yeah. So yeah.
Oh man, this is like a disaster. Colin.
So, I've got 2 other podcasts. We Dig Music, which is me and my friends Ian and Tracy. At the moment, we are going through various different years and choosing our favourite songs and then voting them against each other and finding out, what our favourite song of that year is. So in a couple of weeks' time, we'll be putting out our favourite songs of 2013, which we just recorded yesterday. And free with this month's issue is my other podcast, which is me and Ian plus a different guest, which the next one we need to record is with Kurt. So we need to sort that out soon.
We do need to sort that out. Yes.
But
I wonder what the artist might be featured around. Let me think.
Yeah. Who could it be?
Who could it be?
Oh, I wonder who.
Maybe someone that's done that Batman song.
Yeah.
Oh, Seal.
Seal. Yeah.
Or R. Kelly.
Not doing R. Kelly.
No.
Gotham City by R. Kelly.
Doesn't go down too well at the moment, that one.
No.
Anyway, we've just put out
say something then. I'm really glad I didn't.
we've just put out an episode with my friend Esme from the Hide from Time podcast, all about the most controversial Melody Maker CD of all time. Which you can find it by searching through this month's issue. We Dig Music, you can find by searching for We Dig Music. And if you want to find me, I'm on Twitter as Mogwai Fears Satan.
Excellent stuff. Well, you can find me on Twitter at rmuldrake. It's RMULDRAKE. And I'm currently doing season 7 of the X-Cast. We're not far away from the end now of season 7. So you can find that on the Twitter at the X_cast. I'm just about to release some, as this goes out, some Time Is Now specials, which is the Millennium podcast. It was released in 1996, so 25 years ago. So we're doing some specials for that. We're also going to be going to somewhere called Birmingham, Matt. I don't know where that is, but I'm going down there for a live show. So that should be fun at time of recording. So we'll be doing that in November.
Aye, bro. Aye. He says in a black country accent.
So I'm going down there to talk X-Cast and The Time Is Now. So you can find The Time Is Now at The Time Is Now pod, and we'll be going into Star Trek Picard in the near future. For season 2 should be due out in early 2022, and you can find that at Jean-Luc Podard. So that brings this episode to an end. We are not the only thing that's been discussed on the network, so that'll be coming to you shortly with some clips of other shows, potentially probably starring one of us 3, because that's generally what happens, or Mark. So you can find that, so listen to that at the end of this. But until next time, we've got to do it in a Brummie accent, surely.
Extraordinary, eh?
Brilliant.
I do Brummie, I do Black Country.
Black Country.
Hello everyone, this is Tony, Network Chief of We Made This. As you know, our podcast network brings together a brilliant assortment of talent who talk about all kinds of pop culture content, such as the episode you've just listened to, or maybe you're just about to listen to. We're not going anywhere, but we'd love to keep the lights on for even longer if you're able to support our network on Patreon. For just £2 a month, you get your name in lights and the satisfaction of knowing you're helping us produce more great audio. And for £3 a month, you'll get your name in lights, but you'll also get access to an exclusive bi-monthly podcast from the We Made This talent pool on podcasting, pop culture, and, well, you tell us. We'll take your suggestions. For less than the price of a coffee per month, you can help keep We Made This going. Just head to patreon.com/We Made This. That's patreon.com/We Made This. And get the ball rolling. Now, back to your scheduled programming.
Elsewhere on We Made This.
Observing the Pattern, a Fringe podcast.
Maybe people weren't quite ready for it. Maybe they wanted a bit more of what the X-Files was, which was a much more of a kind of months of the week, scare you, or this kind of myth arc, which had its emotion and certainly had its strong themes of family as well. But I think Fringe had it much more to the fore, much more kind of focused through line for it.
And Luke, that's a really good observation in terms of, why it didn't catch on as much, because I do remember these conversations when it was airing live. And I want to say it was season 3, 4, and 5 where the fans really took to Twitter and was we're like, please renew this show.
Chucky Vision.
I think it's the most graphic of the lot of them.
I think it's the context, though. It's just surreal. I mean, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I would react as a censor to this, because we see, as we keep saying, we see Chucky jack off, but we don't just see his reactions. There is literally a close-up shot of him grabbing his dick.
Yeah, and there's a fucking turkey baster dripping with jizz.
Oh my
God!
God!
The actual fuck is this a 15?
Well, I think if you make something cartoonish enough, then you will get away with it.
and it does feel like they got away with it.
Rarely Going, an animated Star Trek podcast.
To me, the one thing that keeps coming up in these episodes is Boimler is actually a really good leader. And he's got, he actually earned his place on the Titan. It was kind of made of a joke. His transporter clone ended up getting to stay on the Titan, and he got sent back to the Cerritos and even got demoted when he did that. But, time and again in each episode this season, Boimler has proven that he has what it takes to be a good leader. He has what it takes to be a command officer. I think that...
Absolutely. Check out all of these shows and more on the We Made This podcast network.
Shipwrecked and Comatose, a Red Dwarf podcast, was created and produced by Mark Adams and Kurt North. You can find us on Twitter at Red Dwarf Pod, and we are part of the We Made This podcast network, which can be found online at wemadethispod.com or on Twitter at wemadethispod.